Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Loraine, Pastoriza-Primaleon from the Integrated Subsurface Group, and I am a woman of Geo. Alright, first question. When and why did you decide to pursue a career in the geothermal industry? Well, in college, I was certain that if I do become a professional, I would either do environmental, hydro, or the geothermal industry, since the geothermal industry is one of the, or if not the only renewable source which requires geologists. So yeah, and I was lucky enough that when I graduated, I landed on a quick project with what was then Chevron Philippines, and that exposed me to the geothermal industry. And right then and there, I fell in love and I knew I wanted to stay. Next, why did you choose EDC? What's the best thing about working with EDC? I guess it's a no-brainer. EDC has several operating fields across the Philippines and has several projects across the world. So you can imagine the numerous travel opportunities that I had. So I ended up traveling the world. Yes, nakapasyal ako ng bonggang-bongga. So whilst I was doing work, I managed to sneak in some leisure travels in the different parts of the country and the world. And of course, it was EDC who sent me to the UK to do my PhD. So I am certain that EDC is really serious about honing its employees, not just for their company or for the company, but also for individual development. Who wouldn't want to join that kind of company, right? Next question. How does it feel to be a woman in Geo? What's the best thing about being one? Ito medyo tricky because apart from I'm a woman of geothermal, I'm also a woman of geology, which, as you may know, geology is still a profession which is still male-dominated. So, in fact, in my previous department, geosciences, there were 32 of us, 30 of staff, and of those 32 staff, only 5 were women. So imagine the disparity. And initially, this can be very intimidating. And no wonder it was scary when I started my career. But I guess that was an advantage in a sense that despite that intimidating feeling that you are surrounded by men in your workplace, I was able to thrive. And I think that's thanks to us women being more resilient and more adaptive to the environment. So yeah, so despite this kind of environment where males are dominating the workplace, women can definitely thrive. Yeah. Next, what accomplishments are you most proud of in the world of Geo? Well, I think this is referring to EDC or the geothermal industry, no? Well, I think it's the fact that geothermal industry still remains, or geothermal energy still remains, one of the cleaner options for electricity, as a source of energy. And so, with our knowledge of climate change, and the fact that knowing the kind of disaster that the world will be if we won't do anything against climate change, here it is, the geothermal industry at the forefront against battling or at least slowing down the impacts of climate change. And I think that is something we are very proud of, to be part of that company or that industry which is at the forefront of combating climate change. All right, next. What is the greatest challenge you've encountered in the industry as a woman? How did you overcome that challenge? Ito madali. Definitely when I was starting my career. I was just a few weeks old, or kakahire ko lang sa EDC. I was already sent to Leyte for a field assignment. I was doing well-sitting job then. So I was there, 21 years old, very young, one of the newest employee in the company, and lo and behold, I was the only woman in the rig. So that was like 30 or so men in the rig, and I was carrying one of the most critical tasks, which is to relay what the rocks are, relay the geological findings to the drilling crew, etc., and make recommendations. But because I was young, I was new, and I was a woman, I was not taken seriously. So imagine how scary it was for me, attending boring toolbox meetings, trying to get the message across, and yet the guys are just looking at me from head to foot. So it was really a challenge to do my job well because it was really intimidating. And I guess somehow from well, after so many tears that were shed because of that experience, I shifted that kind of scenario into my motivation. I had to tell myself that in that room of 30 or so men, I was the only one who understood the rocks. I was the only geologist. I was the only person who can do my job. And I embraced that fact. And eventually, upon embracing that I was the only person who can do my job, my confidence grew, and eventually the drilling rig or the drilling crew picked that up. Our collaboration became smoother, discussions were more collaborative, etc. And eventually, I felt respected. And this respect was passed beyond me being young or passed beyond me being new at the company, and definitely passed beyond me being a woman. I was respected because I was a geologist, period. All right, next. How about your biggest successes? What do you consider to be your greatest success as a woman in the industry? And as a woman, what do you think gave you an edge in your field? Well, if you asked me 2 years ago, I would definitely say my greatest success, or at least one of my greatest success, is leading or safely leading a team of 10 men doing fly camp in Mount Apo. I was the only woman then. But now, since I'm a new mom, I would definitely say my most recent success is surviving the last 3 weeks. I just came back from my maternity leave. Being a full-time mom without a yaya, whilst the subsurface group or whilst the integrated subsurface group is doing a reorganization. So can you imagine doing a full-time job, no yaya, and stuck between new and old tasks? It's been very tough. And I'm just lucky that I am working from home. So I salute all those moms out there who have to go physically to their offices just to do their jobs. It's crazy, but kudos to all of you. We are not yet in that perfect world where we are gender bias free. So I am very, very fully aware of that from the beginning. And somehow that made me to always do my best, to always put my best foot forward. And this is more so because I wanted to show my group that me being a woman does not make me less competent than my male colleagues. And somehow that kind of awareness made me more compassionate and empathetic to my workmates as well, who I think have their own troubles as well. All right, next. Do you think we have enough women in Geo in the Philippines? What does the country need more to encourage and support the women in Geo or those who aspire to become one? Well, as I said, 32 men, just 5 women. Yes, we need more women in the geothermal industry. And how can we encourage women? I think it's putting more women leaders. The more women leaders we can see in the corporate ladder or even in the society in general, more young women can be inspired that nowadays, gender is no longer a hindrance. You no longer need to be a man. Being a woman does not make you less of a person. People will now be selected based on their credentials. So a woman can be a leader in their company. A woman can lead the geothermal industry. A woman can lead a country. So yes, that's what we should be focusing more. Put more women leaders in the society. Okay, next. What keeps you motivated to get up every morning and do your job? What more do you want to accomplish as a woman of Geo? Well, I have a 4-month-old who cries in the morning to be fed. So obviously that's a very easy reason why I have to get up. But kidding aside, of course, I wake up for my family. And I'm sure I speak or I represent many mothers out there who say that when I say that we do what we do for the future of our kids. And me being or working for a geothermal company or working in the geothermal industry is something that is giving me more passion, knowing that this industry is at the forefront of climate change. It's at the forefront in battling climate change. And with that, I know that my actions will impact the kind of future my kid and his kids will have. And that, I think, is something that I want to help further. so that the world will be, cliche it may sound, will be a better one in the near future. Last 3 questions. Do you have a role model from the women in Geo? What's the greatest lesson that you've learned from her? Well, I wouldn't go far, but shout out to Ma'am Joy Santa Marina of the EDC Transformation Office. She joined the company with the objective of transforming EDC, and I think she's doing a very good job. What lesson I learned from her? Well, unfortunately, we don't really speak often, but in those rare instances that we did speak to each other, she once told me that we should always know our worth. We should always know that we deserve where we are right now. And somehow this is very empowering, because we should not let our society define us. We should know where we are personally. So if you think we are treated less, we should be in that place, but we're not invited, etc., push for it. Push for your right, because you know what you've done and you deserve it. All right. Next, for you, what is the role of women in Geo? So, medyo cliche itong tanong, no? But I really want to believe that it's really due time that we get past that thinking that women in particular have specific roles in the society or in the industry. I think it's time that we recognize that women and men alike can do whatever they want to be. We can carry out whatever roles we want to be. We can do whatever purpose we believe that we have. And so if I have to answer that question, I would say the role of women in Geo is really just to show the world that we can do anything. We can be anyone we want to be, and that we are capable of whatever we think we can. And then last question, what is your message to the other women who aspire to be in the field of Geo as well? Well, whoever you are, go for it. No one is stopping you. Go for it.